All right, sorry to interrupt, but I think we're time to get started with this. All right, so welcome back. Thank you for coming, everyone, in the snow. I hope it wasn't too hard walking here. And we have some people on Zoom, 6 people on Zoom. That's totally fine. Oh, all right, so if you're new, our name actually stands for something. It's not from nothing. The SIG, you might have seen if you've looked at the other groups in ACM, like they all start with SIG. It means special interest group. That's why every subgroup of ACM is called a SIG. And then pwn comes from the slang to hack, like a get pwned and stuff like that. And then the Y is so that we can have a pony as our logo. So pony, SIGPwny. So yeah, if you're wondering what the logo is, that's what it's from. All right, about us. So we're the computer security group at UIUC. We're the largest one, and we're the only one in ACM. If you haven't been to ACM Open House, I imagine everyone here went to ACM Open House, but you can see there's other SIGs in ACM. We're just one subgroup, and our connection to ACM is that they basically give us food sometimes. Yeah.
And do a terrible job at room reservation.
Yeah, they do our room reservations too. But otherwise, we're pretty much separate from like the other SIGs and from ACM. So if you're here, you're already in SIGPwny. The only thing we really ask you to do is join our Discord if you haven't already, and then go to sigpwny.com/auth to get the UIUC role. That'll give you access to a bunch of like the hidden channels in the server. So if you're missing something from our Discord server, you get it from this. All right, great here. Okay, so I talked to some people on ACM Open House Day, and they're like, okay, how am I gonna hack my friend's Instagram? Or are you gonna teach me how to do that? And no, a lot of stuff in the cybersecurity space is illegal. If you're doing anything without express permission from the person whose software it is, it's probably illegal. So like if you need a shorthand, like all of the law surrounding this is pretty complicated, but in short, if you're hacking someone without permission, you probably committed a felony. So don't do that. On all of like we offer a bunch of services that you are allowed to hack. You're allowed to hack any of them, but you have our express permissions. So anytime we're giving you something to hack, you have permission, you won't get arrested. So what do? We do a bunch of stuff. We're one of the largest SIGs in ACM, and that means that we have a bunch of different stuff under our umbrella. So you're in one of them, our meetings, together with our seminar meetings. That's our Thursday and Sunday general meetings, you could say. And then underneath that, we have our CTF team. Some weekends we play in these competitions. I'll explain what they are from Friday to Sunday. And then we have Purple and Embedded team. I'll explain more about those later. And then this semester, I know a lot of people last semester were asking me like, hey, what projects should I do? Because like most other SIGs are project focused, whereas SIGPwny is primarily learning focused. But in the spring, we have more like stuff to really sink your teeth into if you want to work on something. Meetings, some people might not have done this last semester, or if it's your first semester here. You can add all of your meetings to your calendar. Like I use Outlook for my classes, you might use Apple Calendar, whatever. You can add all of our meetings to your calendar so you don't forget anything, and then you don't have to ask like, hey, where is this meeting? It'll just be in your calendar. And this semester it's a little different. Our Sunday room is the same. It's where you are right now, but on Thursdays we're in the MSEB. I think it's Material Science and Engineering Building, room 100. So you'll have to find your way there. It's like the biggest lecture hall in that room. It won't be that hard to find. It's on Green Street. It's up to you. You want to talk?
All right, so I'm one of the leads for Embedded team, and kind of what we work on primarily this semester we're focused on ECTF. So MITRE every year releases a new challenge where they release a set of specifications that you have to meet, and then a set of security requirements that you have to meet. And we spend the first month or so designing our secure system. And then we hand it over for other teams to try to attack while we also attack their designs. So points are awarded for your design remaining secure and for you attacking other teams successfully. So this year especially, we're going to be focusing more on hardware attacks. So this includes fault injection and some side channel analysis, if you're familiar with those. We also have some old meeting content from last semester, if you want to learn more about those. You'll learn about ARM assembly. Looking at other teams, we'll see a lot of C. Our own design, we'll be writing Rust. And all of these we're going to teach you along the way. And also, if you're interested in getting 2 credit hours of ECE credit, we're offering that.
All right. So yeah, that's embedded team. It's one of our sub teams. They meet the other 2 days of the week. Purple, could I get someone? There's 2 slides. I forgot what the second one is.
Okay, yeah, so we're purple team, so we mostly focus on doing like, I would say, realistic network attack and defense. Basically, like the general meetings are focused more on these like individual techniques, right? How do you exploit something like a buffer overflow, know how to do reverse engineering. Purple team's kind of about putting all the pieces together and being able to replicate and, you know, understand and defend against end-to-end cyber attacks you do against real organizations. So last semester was mostly like lecture focused, where I was going over, you know, like some basic prerequisite knowledge. We also went out and did competitions. We're doing a couple more defense competitions, but mostly what the semester is going to look like is I'm gonna, you know, we're just gonna meet usually on like Tuesdays and Thursdays and work on hacking into like some realistic simulated enterprise networks and understanding like how does that look forensically, right? How do these techniques actually work? How can we replicate what actual attackers are doing and maybe improve on it and find ways to catch it? So it's a general pitch. Yeah. Then Michael is our defense guy, I'm our offense guy. If you can do that, Michael.
Thank you so much, Ronan. All right, so largely what we're going to be focusing on are security subdomains, mainly focused in network security. As he mentioned before, digital forensics and incident response. You might have known that acronym as DFIR, so that's where that comes from. And penetration testing as well. So those are 3 areas mainly that we focus on. And so we're going to show you how to take better notes about the things that you're going to be learning. We're going to show you the specific websites and modules that we use. And as he mentioned, I really want to emphasize that this semester, we are especially prioritizing your incubation. I like phrasing it that way because going into competitions is great to get enterprise exposure to systems that you might not otherwise see unless you actually go to seek that out yourself. But the websites that we train on specifically give you repetition. So here's the analogy I want to use. Just as you would be going to the shooting range to focus on your marksmanship, you work in the cyber range. And that's what we're going to be mainly focused on throughout the semester. So please come to us if you ever want to understand how to introduce yourself to a tactical approach in security. We'll show you how to do that responsibly. We come with a lot of great experience and we welcome you with open arms. So thanks, Ronan, too.
Can you do a quick thing on Tracer?
Yeah, Tracer Fire is like one of my favorite CTFs. It is like a very like large, in my opinion, well put together event. What Tracer Fire is about is doing realistic digital forensics and incident response. So every like year, San Diego National Labs will go through their big threat intel repositories, things they've seen, right, of actual events, and they're going to go through and replicate what either high-end cybercriminal or state-sponsored attacks will look like in the simulated network. And then it'll be like a 2-day event where you go through and do forensics and basically trace through into this very realistic breach, right? Like, how do they pull off the attack? And you're going to be working with some very, very high-end tools you're going to have exposure to. So it's really a great opportunity to see what does like well-funded, well-resourced like enterprise forensics look like, and do you have that prerequisite knowledge to go through and hunt what our real adversaries are doing, right? As they're going after, you know, corporations and government networks. And there is a cap on registration for this, but it is fairly high. I think it's around 60 people. So if you're interested, you know, do register ahead of time and try to find some teammates. And I was going to say, please, you know, if you do it, try to beat Purdue. I'd like to make sure we beat Purdue. It's very close every year, but we've won for the last couple. So yeah, keep it that way.
All right, thank you, Purple Team. And we're gonna get the format for this as soon as Sandia gives us the actual dates. So stay tuned on Discord. All right, yeah. Talked about our CTF team. CTFs are like cybersecurity competitions hosted usually by other universities, sometimes just other general groups in cybersecurity. where they put out these series of what are called Jeopardy style challenges. There's a bunch of different challenges in a bunch of different categories. Which one is to hack into some set of surface? So like one common category will be like web hacking, where you're hacking into someone's web server. And they have a bunch of others like Pwn, Rev, but you'll get more experience if you come up to one of our CTFs. We host them, try to do like once every other week. We usually put a ping out the week of saying that we're going to be playing it. So stay tuned. And you can see historically we've been doing pretty well, like 10th in all of the United States, including like non-university teams. So hopefully this year, 2026, will be our best ever. Yeah, so like the meetings that are coming here on the Sunday meeting, we also have the general meetings on Thursday. They're primarily designed to teach you how to get good at these cybersecurity competitions. We find that if you get really good at this competition, you'll end up being really good at cybersecurity in general. You'll be well prepared to get a job in the field or just do it professionally in general. So that's why we focus on CTFs. I highly recommend coming to at least the first couple we do. The only thing is sometimes the challenges can be very difficult, intentionally so. So we try to find easier ones to do in the fall. In the spring, it's a little tough, but I would still come out and just see what you're dealing with there. And if you want to join the CTF team, you don't have to do anything besides running this command in our Discord server, the CTFs opt-in. All right, projects, I mentioned these. So raise your hand if you were here for a full CTF this year, 2025, I guess, last year. All right, a lot of people. So yeah, you saw the badge. This is our badge from, I don't know why I said 2026, 2025. So we're looking to make another one this year. We currently don't have a head for this project. Like we had Richard run it, but he won't be here anymore. So, but if you're interested in like something separate from cybersecurity, like these will usually have nothing to do with like the actual hacking or anything. They're just kind of fun badges to give out at the competition. So if you're in SIGPwny, you're looking for something other than cybersecurity to do, especially if you're an EC major or you do hardware devices, then message me on Discord. So this is our CTF, like the CTFs that we participate in run by other universities. This is one that we run every year. And we have to get started now. It will be in the summer, most likely either early July or late July, depending on when other CTFs are scheduled during the summer. But we're hoping to get started very early on challenges. So everyone who's been to a CTF, I recommend start thinking about a challenge you might want to write. All right, and that's it. So this Thursday, we're running Web Hacking 3. Come out, you're gonna learn about server-side web exploits. It's like a huge class of those vulnerabilities. And we're gonna teach you as many as we can. And then Crypto 3 is next week. We're gonna learn about block ciphers. All right, that's it. So make sure scan this QR code if you want the meeting calendar, scan the one below if you want to get in our Discord if you're not already. And here's the meeting slide. Raise your hand if you don't know what this is. All right. I should let me show it off. Where's my mouse? Okay. Let me reshare my screen. All right. So if you're new, go to ctf.sigpwny.com. Put this on. So ctf.sigpwny.com. This is our internal CTF. Again, another one of those cybersecurity challenge repos. So you can see once you make an account, you'll be able to see we have like hundreds of challenges here. Every semester we gave out prizes. Last semester, 3 people got prizes from doing this. For being at the top of our scoreboard. We're going to give out 3 more prizes too. Like out of these 3 are no longer eligible, but the next highest 3 will be winning prizes this semester. So you get them just by solving the challenges, and then the meeting flag that I showed earlier, this. You type this in into this box in the meeting flag challenge, and then you get 50 points. And you can go to the SIGPwny.com website, and you can download as a PDF all of our previous meetings, and you can go through and fill out all the other meeting flags. So you can get a bunch of free points just by doing that. All right, any questions? Also on Zoom, any questions? All right, well, that's it.